today we're going to do just a little bit of rolling up our sleeves and just a little bit of a check in, a little bit of housekeeping, and just a few comments from last night's debate. A lot more coming right up. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this flash stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone. And this may come off as a little bit of it's not going to come off quite as a trigger, but it's just going to be more almost like a public service announcement. Now, I want to speak about something in terms of I want to speak to you guys just a few minutes on a couple of housekeeping elements, as well as just a tiny recap. I was not planning on coming on, so this is hence the reason that it's titled Flash. But a shout out to the loyal patrons, Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Let the Truth Be Told, Cold War Jesus, AZ Infidel, Anthony Scioli. Thank you so much for all that you do. And shout out to all the loyal subscribers as well as the followers on Periscope. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys so much for coming on to last night's debate. That was fun. And I really appreciate you guys for coming on. Now, you may be caught off, but I want to say I always encourage everyone. And of course, we have our for all that you do and for coming in. And with that, I'm saying school all that you do. And I want to make a comment here. Now, I've said this before. The thing about this channel, this is not a grow stream. This is not a bubblegum show. And I always encourage everybody to have a look at the actual community touchdown. Thank you so much. I also want to say really quickly that what I'm going to do is I'll switch this to the stuff. What I want to say also is that if you are coming into this channel based on the actual objectives of the channel, then you're always welcome to be here. If you can deal with the community standards that I've created for this channel, you are always welcome to be here. But I'm going to tell you, this is not a popularity or grow stream, or I'm not sure what you're used to, but you need to respect the guidelines, the terms, the tenor of this channel. If there's something about you don't like about this channel, you can leave the exact same way you came in. I've always appreciated every single one of you, whether you've ever donated anything or if you're donating your time, if you're lending me your ear during your day, your work day, your home time, whatever you're doing, you're always appreciated on that level. But I will not tolerate any form of debauchery, or if you don't want to be here, please leave. This is not for you. I encourage you to leave. I don't want you here. This is a channel that I have prided myself on, and I'm comfortable with the channel growing organically. If I'm short 20 subscribers based on either the politics, the algorithms of social media, then that's fine. But if you find at any point that this channel does not align with you, your spirit, your demeanor, your change in your growth, then please, I invite you to leave. But I ask you to leave tiptoe on your way out. Please don't make a lot of noise. Don't crash things. Don't swing baseball bats. Don't key anybody's car. Don't break glass. Don't crash things. Don't bash things. And certainly do not use my community tab to post your exit, because at that point, you appear to be an attention seeker and you're here for the wrong reasons. So I understand this doesn't apply to everyone, but it does. If you don't want to be here, please do not show up. If you come one day and you decide it's not for you, then don't come back. But do it quietly. Don't make a lot of noise. Don't give a disclaimer, because it looks false. It looks fake. It looks like fraud. I do not want fraudulent. I don't want dark personalities or insecure personalities. I'm not a counselor. I don't profess to be, but you need to be your best self and you need to be your strongest self. We have a lot of things. This is not the channel for that. There's many things that are going on. I'm only going to spend my time on what I can support in terms of whether it's news or whether it's policy, whether it's civics, whether on my assertions. I'm not going to spend time. I'm not going to do this again. So if this channel does not align with you, please leave in the same manner in which you came in, because to me, that's what respect is. This is the way this is the mantra. Nobody really has to like you. They don't have to love you on this channel, but they need to respect you. And that is what I demand on this channel. If you are not here, if you cannot be respectful to me and to the rest of the community, then we don't need you here. I would rather you not be here. Do not hit the subscribe button. Do not hit the share button for me. Do not tag in, because I will tag you out. Now, I don't know if this is an issue of trolls. If you're a troll, then you usually will reveal yourself. And this one thing about life, no matter who we are, human nature is always there. And that's why I encourage everybody to have a look at the community standards, whether you're new, whether you've been around, whether you are on your notification bell is on and you tune in every single time I go live or when I post a video. If you become weary of that, just unsubscribe. But don't come on here and offer some type of dear Nancy letter. This is the wrong channel. It's not for you. And if I see anything like that, then you will be blocked. And I will ask my moderators to turn their sensitivity up because to me, you're no different than a troll. If you don't want to be here, you don't like the content, you don't like the thanks, you don't like the shout outs, leave. It's really simple. We had a great time last night. I want to thank everybody so much for coming out for that. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate every one of you that are here. But I say, if you want to unsubscribe, that's what the button is there for. And at times, we've all been unsubscribed from other channels. In fact, if you go to your channel right now, you might find that you're unsubscribed. I have found people that have been subscribed to my channel recently that are unsubscribed. But you also look at the program, or you look at the interface of YouTube. That's different as well too. So they've done a lot to subvert things. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to entertain anybody coming on here with any type of issues. I don't know I'm not your counselor. I'm not here for insecurities. We all have insecurities, but I can't be responsible for anybody else's insecurities. You need to deal with those. Check that at the door. Check it at the door. It has no place here. So with that said, I'm going to leave that alone. But I will say that will not be tolerated. It's wrong channel. If you have a problem with somebody else from another channel, you need to work that out with them. But do not bring this kind of chatty patty kind of thing volume onto my channel. You are in the wrong place. You are not going to have a good experience here. You won't. And I will not shed one tear for anybody who decides to leave under any circumstances. People come and they go. That's it. Shout out to Celia as I Wanna Be. Thank you so much for coming in. Shout out to Touchdown Sean. And it's a shame, I took the time to do this, but this is the thing. I'm kind of speaking to the culture of YouTube. The thing about it is when a person makes a decision or makes a conscious decision to start a YouTube channel, whether they have convictions or whether they have objective, whatever they have, they assume it's safe to say that you may not attract people, or people may not be attracted to your channel, or people might decide that the channel is not for them. So, but walk away. Just totally walk away. The thing about it is, this is not the attention channel either. If you're not getting attention on this channel, then you're in the wrong place. It's really not about getting attention. I acknowledge everyone. Thank you so much, Celia. As I Want to Be. Yes, you are a guest at my house, but you can always leave. And as I said before, the only thing I ask: don't crash, don't bash, don't swing bats, don't key anybody's car, don't do any of that on the way out. And if you're unhappy, just walk softly away and don't make a lot of noise and don't disrupt anybody else. Because I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to let 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. I'm not going to let that many people disrupt the people that want to be here. And I don't want you going on my community tab posting it's not the affirmation channel, okay? It seems like this world, we have a world where people value attention and affirmations. That means more to them than anything. They need attention. They need affirmations. This is not the channel for you. Please do not come back. And please don't bother anybody else on your way out. So, as much as I did not want to do this, I'm speaking about one person in specific, and I'm not going to mention that person's name, but I would prefer she not come back to this channel. You don't like it? Leave. When you came here, you come the same way. When I leave somebody's channel, I leave their channel. I don't disrupt their community to make an exit. Because when you start making noise, squealing, kicking and screaming and whining and crying, then that's something else. And that's on you. You need to deal with your own insecurities. But I am telling you, this is not the channel for you to do that. People that are here, your loyalty means lending me your ear, lending me your time, driving by with the window down. Shout out to Old Head Juice. I appreciate that. That's support. But I don't think I've ever come on this channel and shown anybody. This is not your pop chatty patty petticoat junction channel, people. Please. And please do not draw those people in. I have a very specific goal and a very specific objective. And I do think some of the focus of my channel may change. We'll see. But what I'm saying is it's never been about attention seeking. It's never been about assertions. It's never been about affirmations. This is not the psychology. I'm not your socio-emotional director. This is not Black Spring News, the socio-emotional director channel. Not recruiting, not recruiting patients, not recruiting counselees, not doing that. So if it doesn't align with you, then you need to leave. We've got a lot of great content creators that have come here. We've got a lot of people that come and they go. The ones that have gone, they've had enough respect to walk softly and tiptoe on their way out. I don't hear them squeaking and squealing and crashing and bashing and swinging bats and keying cars and having a tantrum. If you don't like what we're doing here enough to stay, then just leave. But do not put your exit, do not put your tantrums on the community channel, because then you're making it about something else. You're being disrespectful and you're not welcome back. And for those of you that are moderators, we are still in this election cycle, but you know what? I anticipate human nature will always be there. Human nature will always be there, whether it's election season, midterm elections, whatever, it will always be there. But I will not always be there to coddle people. That's not this channel. That's not this channel. I only want, as they say, I only want people, even I don't know any of you on a personal level. I would say the chances are that the likability is just as good as the next person. But I'm saying if you cross the line, you will be blocked and you will not be welcome back here. And I would if necessary, I will let the moderators know who those people are. I don't want them here. I don't want I don't want those vibes here. I don't want the energy here. And I certainly don't want that on my community tab. So you need to check yourself at the door. That's what you have to do. Now, with all that said, I do apologize for taking up your time and my time, but I need to make that clear. I mean, this channel has been up over a year now. And I think that's enough time. Whether you come here, I think, honestly, if you visit somebody's channel, whether you go for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you know whether or not you really want to be a part of that person's community. You know that. If you're going through something in your life, then don't take your problems to YouTube. Don't bring it to my channel. Now this is not a threat. This is a warning. Just don't do it. Because the thing about discernment is, okay, yeah, you got Google and algorithms and you got all of these dynamics going on. We are at a precipice in this country. We know there's subversion going on there. We know there's suppression going on there. But what I will not accept is anybody coming on here trying to make some type of personal assertion, or they haven't been affirmed or whatever. Just go. I don't want you here. And I would imagine the community doesn't want you here. You're not good for the community. You're not good for the objective. You're not good for the setup. So just leave. And with that said, I want to get back to, last night the debate was fully loaded. But the thing about it is, this is my assertion on that, is the debate, we didn't really get any new. I think Trump really redirected. I think he did that. He did a lot of effective redirection. And I had a lot of ideas about, thank you so much, Angels Army. I appreciate you. And this was not, see, this is the thing. When you send something out into the airways, you don't know who it will touch. But I want you guys to have a discernment here. You know whether it's touching you based on your interactions with me. So I appreciate, if you've had good interactions with me, then we'll leave it at that. If you've had positive interactions on this show, on this channel, then leave it at positive interaction. But if it's ever to a point that's not positive, then you can leave. Whether it's an ideological, whether it's a civic law or civic premise, whether it's even like a constitutional premise. If I'm wrong about something, I encourage you guys to fact check. I encourage you guys to always do your diligence, but just be informed. Please be at least informed on your decision. And yeah, please, and give it a couple of sources. As many sources as you can, and when you make a decision like that. So shout out to you, Angels Army. It's nice to see you. I really appreciate seeing you coming in. And I appreciate you guys for taking care of the Channelytics. And even when I say something like Channelytics, if you don't want to hit the like, the unlike, the share, or the subscribe button, then use the autonomy and the freedom and the liberty that you have, and don't oblige. Don't do it. I'm saying that it's not required. But don't come here complaining, and don't go on to my community tab posting a community exit. Because to me, that's where you're out of line and you're being disrespectful. I've never had any negative interactions with anyone. I've never had anything that I could not have a conversation or a dialogue, an exchange, a fair exchange on this channel. But I think that people are here for the wrong reasons. And if you're one of these 13 something odd 100 people that are subscribed to this channel, then you need to go. You might need to ask yourself some questions. I'm not going to put a litmus test on here as to whether you should be here or not. But listen to your gut, and whatever that is. But I appreciate every single one of you, the loyal patrons, the subscribers, and the Periscope followers. And for those of you that have witnessed whatever growth that is attributed to this channel, then you've seen that. Then you've seen it's one thing about, I do believe that it's fair to say that I am consistent with what I do on this channel. And if you don't consistently like what you see, then please tiptoe away. Now I'm going to get back. That was another digression that I did not mean. So the other point is back to the debate. The debate last night was exhausting for many reasons. I had some technical issues, but beyond that, I do think that Trump did a much better strategy for redirecting. And of course, there were a lot of unanswered shots fired. Of course, the one that rings the most was who built the cages? Who built the cages? I'm surprised there's not a t-shirt out there. I think that's a good t-shirt. Who built the cages? Because it also puts it back on the media, and it also puts it on the left and the progressives for the narrative that they've been spinning. Make a Charlottesville t-shirt while you're at it about these fine people on both sides, and put the people on both sides that he's actually put it in context. Whoever makes the t-shirt, put the t-shirt in context. I tell you, why don't you put the real context on the front and then put the faults on the back, however you want. That's just an idea. Whoever's designing it, I don't know how you come up with these things. What the media show, the edit of the media versus the context, the full context, and what was that about? I don't even think people even remember what that comment was about. Why were those people out there? Why were those people out there? What drew those people to that location that day? And usually when they're not resolved on what was actually said, good chances are they don't even know why those people were there that day. But they know they've spreaded that little talking point, that little rhetoric, and that propaganda out there. So also with that said, shout out to you, old head dudes. But yes, so Yeah, but the thing about Joe Biden is, I heard somebody else's perspective, but Joe Biden he will never give up the con. It's a very sociopathic kind of a tendency that I see. They will lie, lie, lie. They will never, and never is a promise, and I know it's a strong one. They won't give up the con. If he's lying, all he's going to say, oh, that is false. That is false. And or he'll laugh, or he'll give this laugh. This really, I don't know if it's an uncomfortable. That's one thing. He and Kamala Harris have that in common. If when she's not laughing, he's laughing on stage. Is that how that works? She's got this uncomfortable laugh, and then Biden has this uncomfortable laugh. And everything about the Democrats is, you need us. You need your government. Your government's here to save the day. It's all gloom and doom. You're going to die if you don't have your government telling you what to do. If your government's not making it right, you're all doomed. That's how everything was negative Nelly the whole time. Not to mention, I'm glad the cages came up. But then he talked about how, okay, the essential workers, the essential workers term is being fizzled out, by the way, also. He talked about how people that are, oh, they're out there on the front lines. These immigrants are out here on the front lines. They're 20-something thousand. I'm paraphrasing. Fact check if you want. But we owe them. No. You are subscribing to an agenda, and it's not a lawful agenda. You are using, there again, they use other people's challenges or their circumstances or their trials to get what they want. He could care less about the essential worker or who's on the front lines. He could care less about those kids. Well, they're separated from their families. But Trump really should have asked him about that. There's been plenty of investigation about people at the border, and they want you to be convinced that it's just the Mexicans or the Hispanics over the border living in squalor. That is a misrepresentation of the border. The border has been misrepresented so many times. That's what I would have liked to have seen him just fact bust this stuff. I mean, why not bring an easel and set up charts like they do? Perry Mason, he mentioned. Put it up. Do it. Be Perry Mason right now. Debunk all of these lies. Because that's, Biden was just on a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. Everything that he said that he charged Trump with has been in the cycle for the last 3.5, 4 years. And what did he say about policy? Did we hear anything about policy from the left? I didn't hear a thing. In fact, the whole thing on the fracking. I mean, I've done the whole fact checking on the fracking. I've done it because it was real. He at many rallies, he basically told the miners to their faces what they should do. With that said, I've got something already, even this is a bit sporadic, but I can play for you. I'm going to play one of them that I have prepared. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. But yeah, it's staggering that they have been recycling the same rhetoric and the same propaganda for 3 point however many years. They're just recycling it. And whether it's been debunked, whether it has or not, he hasn't gotten the credit for it. And then I'm just thinking there's much more You talked at the issue of race and da 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 da. They just the fact that they did not talk, they didn't do an actual foreign policy. I think that was a huge disservice because it's just trying to undercut Trump by this assortment of rhetoric that they've had in the news. That's exactly what they were trying to discredit him with. So here we go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's myth bust just for a second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Asked me toward the end of our administration, Joe's going to determine what the jobs of the future are. Anybody who could go down 300 to 3,000 feet in the mine, sure and hell can learn how to program as well. Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program for.
Did you guys hear that? Do you guys remember that? Now I realize everybody's memory gets pretty fickle because everything is breaking until it's not breaking. So we have stories that break all the time. It's just piling on, pylon after pylon. But with that said, let's take it a step further. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hi, you're watching Black Spring with Autumn News and Politics. Now, you may remember just a few short months ago that during the primaries that Joe Biden had quite a bit to say about the economy and a bit of a change in the trajectory on American environmental issues and, of course, on the subject of fracking.
Joe's going to determine what the jobs of the future are. Anybody who could go down 300 to 3,000 feet in the mine, sure and hell can learn how to program as well. Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program.
Well, like what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping pipe?
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate.
No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends. Number one.
3 consecutive American presidents have enjoyed stints of explosive economic growth due to a boom in oil and natural gas production. As president, would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes.
Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Referring to that ad. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Paul Graves. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And so there again, that's a bit of that was not on the docket for the day to fact check or myth bust. But yeah, so there you have, of course, Joe Biden putting his foot in his mouth. And I guess he just doesn't think people are paying attention, which many are not. The people that should be paying attention, they're not paying attention, and they will go in and they will willfully and blindly vote as they've always done. And that's who they are. You cannot, I think with everybody, with this whole pandemic and all, it was a unique opportunity to not only be informed, but to assert your own level of your individualism and power in this process of voting. But unfortunately, many will not cash in on that. They will never experience that. And I've said this before, the left has a way of appealing to people, to a certain demographic of people, and they know that. They target They target a populace. They really do. But then it seems that people on the right have a bigger tendency to look within and look to themselves for improvement. What can I do better? Or what can I do to move the needle and to move myself forward? But it's the total opposite, and I find, unfortunately, that people on the right seem to be a little bit more even tempered. That they're a little bit more emotionally, their emotional management is a lot more consistent. I find that. I mean, it is what it is, and it's not what it's not. So, I just wanted to just kind of bring that out. I see a lot of things. I do think Trump will be reelected. These debates, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know. Do I think these were make it or break it kind of debates? No, I don't. Not the first one, not the town hall. I think for those that have paid attention, they've already seen, they've been following Trump for quite some time, and it wasn't going to, I remember hearing the commission members preface the actual debate with something along the lines of how those that were attending live in person would conduct themselves. Oh, these people are going to be looking to learn, and anything that you do in the background is going to influence that. And if you don't wear your mask, you're going to be dismissed, and you'll be asked, and then somebody will come to you and I guess escort you out, or however. Do your fact checking on that if you care. However, I don't think you can tune in to 1, 2, 3 debates and really get a scope of the dynamics of a presidency. You cannot. It's just not. I don't think it's possible. I mean, Biden, I think he is that classic template of a politician. He's got smiles, he's got laughs, he's got rhetoric, he's got emotional heartstrings for every color that he's trying to, or assortment that he's trying to appeal to. He's got all the tools. He's got all the tools to appear to that frontal lobe person. But, I think that's there again, Trump said it himself. This is why I got elected, because you guys were doing such a fantastic job. Politicians have done so great. This is why I got elected. I thought that was a thing of beauty. It's like, okay, yeah, you've got all the answers now, right? But you can't. See, the thing about it is that I find with these people, with this ilk of people, these politicians, they've got to be they somehow are a part of the problem, and they're also part of the solution. It's rare that it's one or the other. You got to be a part of the problem and a part of the solution. You got to be a disruptor and then to calm the disrupt. Some people say you got conflict and resolution. You got the problem, solution, save the day. You created the problem, and then you go in and you save the day. That 94 crime bill, I think even Biden misquotes himself on that quite a bit. Oh, it was not meant for people to go to jail. I mean, he was totally unapologetic about that whole legislation, the whole bill. And by the way, your Congressional Black Caucus voted for that as well. So seriously, this is not, and they're mostly, and that caucus is 90+% Black. There was a story that I was following not too long ago. I did a little bit of research on that party, and I find that they had once upon a time, they had one Black Republican was able to withstand the tenor or the countenance of the CBC. I think that group is absolutely globally infused, and their interest, they could care less. You know, they tout everything that they're doing. Oh, they're working on this in Africa, and I guess that's where they got the kente cloth from. I guess the Congressional Black Caucus loaned them some kente cloth for that kneeling shenanigans that they put on earlier this year, which was a disgrace to the people of West Africa. I mean, in fact, historically, I do believe that the cloth that they were wearing represented a tribe that was historically oppressed. And I'm just thinking, why? Where is it that this is? What level of insult? Is there nothing that's off limits to liberals or to the left or to the Democrats when it comes to Black people or people of African descent? Why would you don anything? Why? But then that would kind of make me think, why would Elizabeth Warren be speaking for the Native American community? That's another disgrace. Another disgrace. This is what I'm talking about. These elite, there's nothing off limits to them. Not your feelings, not your schools, not your kids, not your hair, not your even your health. They want to tell you how they see where you are, where you rank in their world. I tell you, I've been most inspired by some of Dr. Thomas Sowell's his writings about just the elite. I mean, we're dealing with somewhat of an aristocracy. I mean, I think I even showed you guys that. I showed you guys the whole Wolf Blitzer clip the other night. Wolf Blitzer and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, how much more aristocrat can you get than that? She was furious with Wolf Blitzer. Furious. And I was stunned that Wolf Blitzer gave her any pushback. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys remembered, oh, look at you, Wolf Blitzer, you're earning your stripes today, right? You remember what it's like to be a journalist, right? I mean, and it almost seemed genuine, I don't know. I don't know, Wolf Blitzer. I don't know what you were trying to achieve there, but I think you pulled off something. You put a sand in the pearl, okay? Because Nancy Pelosi, I saw that as a power. That woman she thrives on the idea of power. She kept diverting. Well, show some respect to me and those committee members. You're talking about those people that you suggested. I'm like, okay, Wolf Blitzer, she's also kind of putting you out of letting you know you're not in the ivory tower as well. So I think, shout out to you, silly as I want to be. So you guys are getting almost a rant here. I don't know what to call it. Have a great day. I really appreciate you for coming in. And thanks so much. Once again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and for tolerating the dynamics of last night. It was fun. It was so much fun. And shout out, thank you so much, silly as I want to be. I appreciate you so much whenever you can come in. And shout out to Old School Wolf Media and DJ Vision Barnett, and once again to the Lockhart Perspective. I really appreciate all three of the guests. The Lockhart Perspective was the opening guest, the opening guest. But then, of course, I have my regional. I consider my other friends as regional contributors, and they are always welcome here. But I was really pleased to have her on for the first time ever. So thank you so much, the Lockhart Perspective, for coming in. It was a lot of fun, a lot of valuable insight, and valuable and great wit coming from the Lockhart Perspective. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Paul Graves, for coming. I appreciate it. Yes, Dr. Thomas Sowell is fantastic, and Dr. Thomas Sowell has such a, he speaks with such clear, he's very clear and he's very concise about many things. I think everyone should read. Economics should be taught. There should be a curriculum based on his economic methods, or the way his approach to teaching economics. And in fact, Democrats should take a lesson, because there's a difference between, there's a Keynesian, which they tend to go with, and then there's more of a hands-off approach. Some people call, what do they call it? Reagan economics. Some people even coined Trump economics, that kind of a bit. So there, you have that. But I really appreciate you guys and all that you do. But yeah, I just think that Biden is, that's the Green New Deal. Okay. You guys basically, what was it? AOC gave you guys the Green New Deal over a year ago in a kind of a synopsis of the Green New Deal, and all you guys, and they dripped it all the way across the stage. They dripped pieces of the Green New Deal across the stage during the primaries. Of course, you had Andrew Yang on his universal basic income, and guess what they prescribed during the pandemic? Oh, yeah, Kamala Harris. So let's give them all $2,000 a month. That was, that was a piece of the Green New Deal. Okay. And I tell you, and the thing about Joe, it's all true to form. Like I said, I'm speaking to you absolutely unscripted right now, because these things are just these things were on a cycle. They've been on a cycle for so long. And it's just, you can feel it in. You just feel it in right now. HR 5, HR 9. HR 9 is the Paris climate agreement. What do they call that? Paris Accord. And the entire world has been ticked off with Trump for pulling us out of that. And it was not ratified. So that's how he was able to get us out of it. I think the UN needs to be the next tie that's severed. I really think that they need to do that, because a lot of what you guys are seeing going on is, a lot of people don't realize the height of government does not stop at the president's office. It really doesn't. Everything that you've seen, you can fill that in with the UN Agenda 2030, 2021. Everything that you're seeing, they are trying their best to do this change of the guard. And they need these pieces, these individual pieces, to pull it off. It's clear. And then, of course, you had the rhetoric before about, how China handled the CV better than the US. And even their media was pumping that out across the world. Everybody's still comparing the US with China, and in terms of the cases. In fact, I'm going to do a follow-up on the vaccines, because the vaccines trials are going to be starting up again. I think that's the goal, but I won't do that on this segment. This is a flash, and this was to speak out about some housekeeping things. And I tell you, this is rare that I ever do housekeeping, because I've had such an even-tempered group of subscribers. And new to the channel would be the Periscope followers and the patrons. I have not had to deal with anything from a community standpoint until today. It gives me no satisfaction of whatsoever to talk about community standards. But but that thing called human nature, somebody is either going to have a conflict with there'll be internal conflicts, or there'll be someone who will take a stab at me. But I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. If you don't want to be here, it's easy. it's painless. It's painless to leave. It's painless to come here, and it's painless to go. I always, I follow a swath of different YouTube channels, and I always give the host respect. And sometimes I go into some of these other YouTube channels. I was like, this person's really annoying me today. I don't really know if it's just the pacing of this presentation or a reaction to the presentation, but I'm really annoyed by this person. I'm even annoyed by the timbre of this person's voice today. But you know what I will not do? I will not target or aim any of that at any of the actual subscribers in the chat, in their comment section, on their community tab. No, I will walk out. And really, and honestly, the beauty about YouTube is that you get a snap, you get a preview. You don't even, before you even come into the chat, you can already decide whether, I thought I wanted to come in here, but I really don't. It's really not matching up with me. It's not lining up. It's not lining up with who I am right now or my mood right now. I thought this was the right mood, but it's not. So then you don't even have to go in. But then to me, when you take that step to actually enter someone's home or enter someone's channel, when you do that, now you're in another position. It's less about you. It becomes less about you at that point. You have to put yourself in that template at that point. And you have to know your place and you have to stay in it. See, that's another thing. I always learned, I think I have a pretty good discernment for what my place is. And I know how to stay in it. Because the moment you go out of your place, that's when the conflict happens. And that's when the problem is going to come out. The problem will arise. And you're being disrespectful at that point. Most of the time, if it's an echo chamber for you that day, then just leave. Sometimes, I will say, there's so many channels out here. It does get to be an echo chamber sometimes, but you still have to exercise some level of control and some level of restraint. So I say, if your restraint levels are low, then don't come in. Don't come in. Paul Graves, shout out to you, says, what are some of my favorite YouTube channels? I don't know. I usually, that word favorite, I think, Paul, shout out to you, AZ Infidel. Thank you so much for coming in and for all your support on the channel. I really appreciate it. Paul, I will say that I think I just kind of call it channels that I support. Channels that I can support more intimately is maybe what I would call it, because I don't know if I call them a favorite. I think something about a channel, it either awakens some type of notion or it raises a level of consciousness for me. And even the ones when I thought there might be a certain, that's a favorite channel. It's not so much. It's not really so much as favorite. It's just a channel that I use that I might go to. Sometimes I don't want to go to a channel because what I'm doing on my channel, I don't want to be influenced by somebody else's ideas. I want an opportunity to process my own ideas and develop my own presentation. And sometimes if you go into somebody else's channel, whether it's another conservative channel or whether it's a whatever spectrum libertarian, whatever spectrum people want to do, sometimes when I go into those channels too early, it influences me in a way that I don't want to be. So if I'm done with my reports, if I'm done with my assertions, if I'm done with my hypothesis, then I'll go into those channels because I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for something that I haven't asserted, given an assertion on, or I haven't reported on. Like, I'm usually going into somebody's channel because I'm trying to raise a different level of sensitivity. Is usually it's more of an inspiring channel, I guess. But I'm finding that's diminishing, Paul Graves. I'm thinking I have less. I just don't use the word favorite. I mean, I have there's channels here that subscribers here and content creators here that I enjoy going to. And usually I try to find something that not really complements what I do, something that I can get a totally different perspective, that I can offer something different on for my own presentations, if you will. So I'm down to probably a couple of channels, 2-3 channels that I watch, because I think that, this political season and cycle has been so volatile. It's not just a political season, the actual, this election cycle, rather, it's been so volatile that sometimes you just want to go to a channel that has nothing to do with politics. You just want something else, anything else. I mean, what? Glass blowing or something. I don't know. It's a hard meter to gauge. It's hard to gauge on the meter at this point, because YouTube is. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I've been on to Brandon Tatum's channel. I've been on to Old School Wolf Media's channel. I mean, these are channels that I've been on to. The Lockhart Perspective has a great channel. And these are channels that I go to, and there's great appeal to those channels. I really like Lockhart Perspective. I really respect her work, and yeah, I mean, it could be anything, but I'm thinking of it as more of an outlet. I'm looking for other channels. There's one channel. Shout out to the Information Man Show. I'm curious about that channel. I'll shout him out. Shout out to you, Information Man Show, if you're watching this in replay. I'd like to follow more of that channel, and some of the channels that I'm subscribed to that I haven't really spent a lot of time on or in, and so it makes a difference. It's just trying to find a balance now, I think, is the bigger deal for me. But Derek C. Williams' channel is a fantastic channel. I like Derek. I like Derek's channel really, very much. And shout out to you, Derek C. Williams, if you're out there. That's, he's a patron, but his content's great. The Definition of Anarchy is always a fresh perspective from the Definition of Anarchy. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for your support. So yeah, these are channels. DJ Vision Barnett, very knowledgeable. And yeah, so I think everybody's in different places on their channels. So yeah, but I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in, and thank you guys so much for those of you that came in on last night's stream. So my final thoughts for this stream, and I'm going to close it out, is that was one thing about it. We have yet to see we have yet to see the justice at a domestic level. We have, and that's very disconcerting to people, and it's disconcerting to whether you're patriots or whatever you are. We don't want to see things that see the darkness, that appears to be two systems of justice. And those people that are above the law, that live in these ivory towers, or these elite ruling class people, they will always run the roost. They will always do what they do. But I think that's a part of the frustration, and I think it's a huge turnoff. And I think that's one of those things that makes people, head down and eyes up. Or some people, they tuck their head in the sand, or they just don't want to hear it anymore, because they just, things are not, I mean, our FBI, our DOJ, I think there's a lot of infiltration and a lot of compromise there. I think they keep this battle, this tug of war going on. And I don't know if these exposés anymore are even, that's why I'm thinking I'm not going to be following this. I don't know how much of the Biden emails and all of this, how much of that I'm going to be covering on here. I'm just going to be honest with you guys right away. I'm just not sure how much of that I'm going to cover. It's, we've covered a lot, and yeah, I mean, to release, I don't know what it is on the right that they seem to be, or is it a part of the game, the tug of war? We'll give you a little bit just to make you think that we're to satisfy. We'll do just enough to make it seem that we're going after justice for this or that, and then nothing happens. I don't know, but I just don't think things can go on. Things can't continue the way that they are. I don't think so. So I'm not sure. Here again, not sure how much of that's just an FYI. I'm not sure how much of the Biden situation I'm going to cover beyond what I've spoken. I've spoken very sparsely and very scanning about it already, because I just don't know if there's anything to become of that. I mean, is it the point of humiliation that this expose, is that enough to humiliate somebody? And then is that are those the rules that Washington plays by? That's all we, the people, can get, is just some exposés, and that's it. I mean, if we look at it, you can go back, you all of these things. What you have, the Biden emails, the Obamagate, Clinton. What has materialized? What has materialized from all of these exposés? What? I mean, every now and then you hear something about human trafficking, a few kids here and there, but who has actually been brought to justice with all the evidence? Who has been? So with that said, I'm just thinking that I'm probably I will be giving, I'll do some things that adjust some things on the channel. But in terms of, that's that type of coverage, I think it's just pile on. We've had a lot of pile on with the virus and all. We have a lot of information, conflict information, pile on about that. Nobody's been held accountable for any of that. So who knows, but I will keep you up to date on that. But thank you guys so much again for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I appreciate those of you that want to be here, decided to come here. And I appreciate you guys for taking the time. And if you chose to deal with the Channelytics, I appreciate that. And always know who you are and why you're here. And if it's ever not where you want to be, then you know what to do. So with that said, I'm going to wish you guys a fantastic Friday and weekend. Right now, I don't anticipate that I'm going to do another stream today. This was a bit sporadic, but I kind of wanted to talk about community standards. And as we go forward, that's also going to be like, just, make sure that you're where you want to be. And that and if you decide that's not where you want to be, walks off and exit. Don't disturb anybody on your way out. And don't bring any dissension to me via the community tab. So thanks so much again for tuning in, and enjoy your weekend.